I think one of the most often asked questions on almost all of my videos is Atmos worth it? So what we're going to do in this video today, I have 4 Atmos speakers in the ceiling, and I have the ability to turn off all my speakers except the Atmos speakers. I have a Blu-ray disc in my Blu-ray player right now that is super action-packed. So if any movie is going to have a lot of Atmos, this is going to be one of those movies. So I'm going to turn off all of my main speakers that are on the floor. I'm going to turn off my subwoofers. We're going to listen to a comparison clip. I'm going to play a clip from this movie that is using all the speakers, and then I'm going to play the same clip with just the Atmos speakers, and I want to hear how involved are they within a scene. Of course, this changes from movie to movie, but we're going to get a good idea of how active are Atmos speakers, and then we'll talk about if they're worth it or not. So let's fire it up. Alright, so that was a movie clip from Hacksaw Ridge. The first clip, of course, was with all speakers on, and then the second clip was the exact same segment of the movie, but with all the speakers off, except Atmos, they were still on. I've learned quite a bit. We're going to answer the age-old question, is Atmos even really worth it? But let me tell you what I learned today. This is the first time I've ever done a test like this, dedicated listening to Atmos. So here's what I found out today that I think you guys are going to find interesting in your home theater setup. So the first surprise that I had was that there are voices that truly come from Atmos. Even if on screen it doesn't suggest that there should be. During that Hacksaw Ridge movie, you guys can't see it because I have to blur it out, but really everything you see is in front of you. They're shooting at people in front of you. There isn't anything going on in the air other than maybe a random bullet or grenade. But there was voices. There were screaming and hollering. People were dying in the movie, and you can hear around you people are screaming and hollering and agonizing pain above your head, even though on screen there are no people above you, at least at that moment. So there are a lot of voice information, or at least hollering, things like that, that come from Atmos. It's not just bullets and thunderstorms and rain. It's actual voices, commentary, dialogue will come up from there. So that's really interesting to hear. But what I really noticed the most doing this test is that out of the 1.5-minute clip or so, the minute clip that I recorded, maybe 80% of that was nothing from the Atmos section. So if it's a minute long, maybe 20 seconds out of that minute was Atmos information. There's very little Atmos effects. Even in a movie where there's calm chatter, grenades, gunfire, there's sand blowing up, there's all this action going on, very little of it made it to the Atmos section. So that was interesting too. I thought this movie, out of anything I could have picked, would have tons of Atmos information, but it turns out there is very little up there. I also did another movie off camera, Godzilla versus Kong, the New Empire. That had even less Atmos information, and when it did have Atmos, it was just singing. It was more voices. It wasn't even, Kong. It wasn't even Godzilla. It was just random music kind of adding to the effects. So it's interesting to hear that there's not much going on in an Atmos theater. There's minute effects that come through. Sometimes there's a little bit of voices or ambient voices around, but most information, most of the surround sound came from the actual surround sound speakers, the rear left, the rear right, the surround backs. It all came from there. So that was really surprising. So let's answer the age-old question. Is Atmos really worth it? And then if you are going to run Atmos, let's say you have a 7-channel receiver, should you do a 5.1.2 Dolby Atmos system, or should you do a 7.1 no Dolby Atmos system? Which one is better? So based off of what I heard today, Atmos is worth it. It does kind of tie in everything. There are really cool effects that happen. It's not just front to back, it's also left to right. Most of what I heard in the demo was going from left to right. It wasn't really front to back. So that's interesting too. But it does kind of add in that whole effect, like, whoa, what was that? Instead of, whoa, what was that? It's kind of like, whoa, what was that? And that's a really cool feeling, to be able to hear things all around you to just further envelop you in whatever you're watching. So it is worth it just to kind of put the icing on the cake in your surround sound system. But if you only have the choice to do a 5.1.2 system or a 7.1 system, so 5 channels plus 2 Atmos, or 7 channels no Atmos, which one should you go for? I fully believe that you should skip the Atmos and go 7 bed layer speakers. I think you'll get more of a surround sound feeling out of surround backs and rear surrounds and then your fronts. I think you'll get a way more surround sound effect from those 7 speakers than you will from 5 speakers with 2 above you. I think it's a clear winner in my personal opinion. The surround sound system, there's a lot of information that is in those side speakers. There's a lot of information that's in those rear speakers. So to have them around you is nice. So to take away your rear speakers and put Atmos speakers instead, I think is a loss, because one, there's not much going on. And I have 4 Atmos speakers, so I can't imagine 2. It probably wouldn't be even heard. But not only that, but there's so much more volume and information and things going on in a 7.1 system than an Atmos system. And your 5.1.2, you're probably gonna have 2 front Atmos speakers. They're far away from you, right? So I think that a 7.1 system is 100% the way to go if you have to choose between a 5.1.2 or a 7.1. But if you can do a full 4 speaker Atmos and 7 bed layer speakers, do it. If you can do a 5 bed layer speakers and 4 Atmos, do it. But I still think if you can run 7 channels on your bed layer, run 7 channels. Don't swap out one of your rear section for Atmos. It's not worth it from what I've heard. There's not much going on up there in comparison to what's going on in the rear. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. Have you ever done this test before, listening directly to the Atmos speakers? Try it out, because I think you'll be surprised that they do a lot less than what you think. Of course, it changes from movie to movie, but I told you what I use. I use Hacksaw Ridge, and I used Godzilla vs. Kong, The New Empire. But you can try maybe Quiet Place, you can try Interstellar, you can try Mad Max, you can try Ready Player One. Try whatever you're familiar with and turn off all your main speakers or unplug them if you can't turn them off specifically. And take a listen. I think you'll be surprised. So thank you guys so much for watching. Leave me that comment down below. Hit that like button and subscribe if you are not already. And we will see you guys in the next video. Kid Sky out. Peace.